everybody, welcome to Mom Underway. I'm Cammie, and today I'll be walking you through how to make a reverse canvas. So let's get started. A reverse canvas is simply taking an inexpensive stretched canvas that you can buy in any craft store. You can get them at Walmart, Amazon, they're all over the place. But a reverse canvas is removing the canvas from the existing frame to make it just a little bit more decorative. We're going to still use both the canvas and the frame, but we're just going to dress it up a little bit. For my example today, I'm using an iron-on decal that I cut on my Cricut, and this is just bare wood, so you'll want to probably dress it up a little bit. You can paint it, you can stain it. I have really fallen for the baby white method of staining, so I also have some craft paint and my baby whites. And I have an X-Acto knife to cut the canvas off the frame. So we'll start with that. Just need to get a little start on cutting the canvas. You can cut it a little bit closer to the staples, and that makes it a little bit easier to remove. But I like to cut it over here because it goes super quickly and it doesn't mar the frame. If you do end up slicing into the frame a little bit, it's not going to matter. This will be the back side anyway, and it won't show. And whatever you do, it's going to be perfect. So just don't worry about anything. Okay, so I've removed the canvas from the frame. Don't worry about these ragged edges. You're going to trim that anyway. So I'm just going to set the canvas aside for a minute and go ahead and remove the rest of this canvas from the frame. Oh, I love when staples come out with the canvas. That makes it so easy. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and remove my staples from my frame. This is kind of the hard part. You can use a staple remover if you have one. These are really heavy staples, so my staple remover is not sturdy enough. Okay, at long last I have my staples removed, and you can see obviously where they were. But don't worry about that because this is all going to be covered up in the end anyway. Okay, so I am going to use a little piece of sandpaper, and just give a quick run across that. I had a little stamp on my frame that I want to get rid of. And then some of this is a little bit rough. So I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. I'm just going to give it a really light and quick sanding. Okay. Now, depending on your frame, it may be very securely still stuck together and maybe not. If you need to, you can re-adhere them. I think I've got a couple of corners that are just a little bit loose. So I'm just going to put a little hot glue there. Adhere them back together. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now I'm ready to stain my frame. Again, I'm using the baby wipe methodology. So I just take a baby wipe out. And I've got my craft paint. I'm doing a really fairly light color. This is a golden brown Craft Smart paint. I'm using a satin finish. And I'm just going to take a little dab just directly onto my baby wipe. And then I'll rub it onto the frame. This is just so much easier than staining. I do love a good stain, but this is, I don't have to wear gloves because this is just acrylic paint. And I'm using baby wipes, which aren't going to hurt my hands at all. And you can use any color that you want. I'm using kind of a tan brown, but you can use a darker brown. You can use colors. I just find a lot more flexibility with acrylic paint versus a stain. Plus, it's a whole lot cheaper. A whole lot cheaper. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside to dry, and I'm going to come back to my canvas and get that ready. The first thing I'm going to do is trim my canvas, and this is not going to be overly complicated. My frame is 8 by 10, so I'm going to cut my canvas about 7.5 by 9.5. And again, doesn't have to be precise or exact. Whatever you do is going to be perfect. Everything that I do is for personal use or gifts, so I don't have an easy press. I just use an iron. If you are planning to sell your work, an easy press might be a good investment for you, but for my purposes, an iron works just great. Now, I do find for iron-ons that just an old pillowcase on a table works better than an ironing board because of the more rigid surface. So that's what I have here. Pillowcase on my table. I've got my design. This is my kind of new mantra, I guess you could say. I saw this in a cartoon format, and it struck me as funny, and like everyone, I'm constantly filled with self-doubt, so this this really spoke to me. I'm going to try and get that lined up. And I'm just going to double check that it fits into my frame properly. And voila. And put a little piece of parchment paper to protect my design. And begin. Iron on. This stencil is, I believe I said that it was one that I cut with my Cricut. You can purchase ready-made iron-on stencils. You can create your own with supplies from craft stores, and again, you can paint on your canvas. You can do a stencil. Really, the only limit is your imagination or what you can find on Pinterest. I have my iron really hot. Not quite all the way up, and of course you don't want any steam for an iron-on. Okay, obviously that's going to be really hot, so be careful. And I'm just going to do another very, very quick make sure he's really stuck on there. Fortunately, I won't be throwing this in the washing machine, so not too much danger of it coming off. My frame's dry. I'm ready to put my canvas back in the frame. There are a number of different ways you can reapply the canvas to the frame. I'm going to use thumbtacks. You can also use staples if you have a heavy-duty stapler, small nails. You can even just hot glue it back to the back as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Make sure I've got him centered the way I want him. And I'm just going to go ahead and put one thumbtack in. Just to make sure. He's all lined up. Then I'll put my other thumbtack in on the opposite side. And if I feel like he's lined up, then I'm ready to go. Finished, ready for display. Now I'm just going to set this guy on a shelf, but if you want to hang him on the wall, obviously you'll have to put in a hanger of some sort, and you could even just put your tacks in such a way that you could attach a wire to it, or you can purchase a hook at a hardware store or Walmart to hang it in any way you like. Thanks again for joining. I hope you enjoyed this reverse canvas tutorial, and I would love to see what you create. So message us. Thanks. Bye-bye.